The Dialogue with Clement Manyathela.
It's not just another roundtable discussion.
Let's walk the talk on 702.
It's 22 minutes now before 12 o'clock. There are a number of messages that have come through come on the WhatsApp line. Before we get into our next conversation, I just want to reflect on that. Someone says, "Hi Clement, accountability should never at any point be questioned. We give authority to those that we put in power to appoint appropriate individuals to serve us and not them on our behalf. We are well within our rights to question the appropriate or the appointer to account on the actions of the appointee." There are also WhatsApp messages, WhatsApp voice notes that have come through as well, responding to that conversation with Deboho Khas. They've come on 072702 and 702.
Hi, Clement and the team. It was suggested that General Masimula delegated someone who reported back to him and say that there was nothing wrong. So what did General Masimula did to someone who misled him? David.
Exactly, David. Exactly. Did he take action against that person? The point I was trying to make to Deboho Khas is we don't know the case that IDEC has against the National Police Commissioner. My goodness, I'm sure a lot of you, just like myself, are hoping that there is no strong case. Because if there's a suggestion that there was gross negligence or any suggestion that the National Police Commissioner failed to act so that, or delayed to act so that monies goes to Ket Matlala's company, that's going to be devastating for all of us, because that would mean the very head of the SAPS was somehow involved in advancing Ket Matlala through this tender that he received from the SAPS. I hope that is not the case. I really do. But we just don't know. So for us to have organizations that come up already defending the National Police Commissioner and saying, no, but he did this, he can argue that in court. And if the IDEC doesn't have a strong case against him and they just enrolled a matter with no interest whatsoever and they couldn't prove beyond reasonable doubt there's prospects of success, IDEC must be held accountable. My goodness, the head of IDEC, even if she gets fired, because you can't play politics as a law enforcement agency where you just charge people because you're fighting a certain faction or because you're trying to create an impression that that person may be corrupt. But right now, you and I don't know. What we know for sure is there is rot in the SAPS. And it doesn't just go down. It also goes up the seniority levels. The top cops of the SAPS have been shown to be corrupt and in cahoots with Ket Matlala and his associates. And as a result, I'm happy for us to have a National Police Commissioner who's going to go to court and answer. And maybe he'll be able to defend himself and say, this is what I did. But it's important that we allow that process to run its course and not just come in defending or blaming IDEC when we don't actually know how strong their case is against the National Police Commissioner. It's 19 minutes now before 12 o'clock.
The Dialogue with Clement Manyathela.
It's not just another roundtable discussion.
Let's walk the talk on 702.
Okay, we are going to bring in Dereleen James now, who is a member of Parliament for Action SA, and this is to get a response from following that conversation we had with the ANC Women's League Secretary General. Remember, if you've just joined us, you missed what we spoke about earlier. The Minister of Social Development, Sisisi Dolashe, basically lied to Parliament. Dereleen James is the person who asked her about the 2 vehicles that he had received, right? These are 2 vehicles he had received from Chinese officials. She responded and said, no, those vehicles were a donation to the ANC Women's League. This morning, we contacted the ANC Women's League Secretary General. We interviewed her. I'll replay that interview for you. And she confirmed that it's not true. She said, we have no records of those vehicles. We've never had any donation from Chinese officials. The Daily Maverick has revealed that those 2 vehicles that the minister received, she gave them to her 2 children. Her 2 children have been using those cars. In fact, the ownership of the vehicles changed to be in the names of her 2 children. So I thought let's bring in Dereleen James as someone who had asked this question first. Thank you so much for making time for us. Dereleen, good morning.
Good morning, Clement, and thank you for having me.
Yeah, so let's start with why you decided to ask the Minister of Social Development about these 2 vehicles. What information did you have?
Clement, firstly, I want to say, I've always said this. When we ask questions, it's not because we don't know the answers. It's just the fact that we want truth. At this point, we have quite a few whistleblowers within the department highlighting various issues to us, which I'm extremely grateful for, that people are no longer covering up for their seniors. And you know what you said that the minister answered, let's get it right. In December last year, when we posed this question to her, she actually just ignored us. She failed to respond to us. We then again asked the question, I think it was in February. And it is then when she had cooked up the story of, no, it was a donation to the ANC. I'm so grateful that Daily Maverick has gone the extra mile to actually expose this. As Action SA, we have been so busy with the ad hoc committee and everything else. But it was just basically a matter of time for us to get back to this issue and to expose over and above these vehicles the rot that is happening in that department. This is another department where South Africans are going to be quite saddened by the reality of what is happening in there.
Yeah. So what is the next step then, Dereleen? Because if she told you in her response that, well, this was a donation to the ANC Women's League, the ANC Women's League Secretary General today denied that and said, we don't have any records of that. They are now going to investigate her in these vehicles that she has claimed belonged to the ANC Women's League. So that would mean that she lied then in her response. What happens next?
Absolutely, and let's even take it further. It wasn't even declared. She knows that as a minister, she's supposed to declare any gifts. And I think the question, what worries me right now, in exchange for what were these gifts? What did she promise the Chinese officials? That's what I'm asking myself. What was the exchange? Secondly, also, if it was a gift to the for the ANC, a donation, why wasn't it also declared? So that as well. So not only is the ANC saying that they have no knowledge of it, nowhere can we find that she's actually declared these items well over R1 million. I'm asking myself, why not? Now, we have written to the president this morning and we've released a statement saying, this is now, you don't even have to investigate anything, because I'm glad that you were, Clement, to even have the receipts in the form of an interview this morning where they say we have no idea what this woman is talking about. What will it take now for the president to fire the minister? Because this is clear cut. This is as clear, this is blatant. You need to fire this person. Will he act or will he just come up and cook a story for South Africans? Yeah. That's what I'm waiting to see now.
Well, what has history taught us and told us about how the president delays in acting? I suppose we wait and see. Dereleen James, thank you for joining us. She's a member of Parliament for Action SA. They have now written to President Cyril Ramaphosa to say, yo, look at your member of cabinet and what they have done. What are you going to do about it? What is the president going to do about his own minister who seemingly has lied to Parliament? She receives 2 luxury vehicles from Chinese officials, which she didn't declare. She tells Parliament, oh no, I didn't declare them because they were a donation to the ANC Women's League, because she's a president of the ANC Women's League. Daily Maverick reveals she gave the vehicles to her 2 kids. They went and tracked the vehicles. Those vehicles have been used by her children. And then the ANC Women's League, when we interview them this morning, tell us, we have no record of those vehicles. We've never had donations from Chinese officials. Is the president going to act? Or is he going to wait until there's more outrage, more opinion pieces, more investigations, and before he acts?